So some history. In 2011, my colleagues and friends, Magnus and Joel, decided they wanted to start a company that would sell branded mobile applications, these lovely branded mobile applications, to the 300 energy companies in Sweden. They asked me to join, and it seemed like a license to print money. I mean, all we had to do was change the colors and we could sell 300 different apps for a lot of money. This is how I looked when we'd made our first sale. You can see a very, very happy man. There's an app in the background there. And what I was imagining was a big 1,000 krona note over Arne's head there. I'm not sure if this was quite the reality. What we ran into was that it wasn't that easy to actually build these applications. I mean, a company came to us and said, can you build us a mobile application? And we said, yeah, we can do it, and we can do it again and again and again. But what we hit was this, which we've come to call the energy data fortress. And I guess we've heard a lot today about ways to get data out of companies, and that's really what we're doing. We found that these companies, they had, the first company that we worked with, they had an API. They said to us, yeah, we've got an API, you can connect to that and get data. But their API didn't actually control any connection between an energy meter and a user. They didn't have any idea where they lived, or there was no connection there. And this was obviously a very large problem for us. And we found out that it was replicated throughout the industry, this energy data fortress. There are only a couple of companies that can get data out of this energy data fortress. And I don't know if any of them are here today, but Tieto and Logica, anyone here work for them? No hands, and that's very good. It's really, they're huge, big infrastructure consulting companies that designed this energy data fortress purely for themselves. And we thought, no, this isn't right. We've spent a year getting data out of one company's back end. Maybe this is what we should do as a company, not sell mobile applications. So instead, we wanted to open this up, and we've called that opening up and making accessible the data that they collect, Energimolnet, or the energy cloud, if you translate it to English. Now, I'm actually not the best programmer in the world. I'm not as good a dev as everyone in this room, I would expect. I went to business school instead. So instead of talking about how to develop with APIs, I thought I might talk about how product development with APIs works and how product marketing with APIs has worked for us. And I want to kind of throw out some thoughts and see how other people feel about product marketing. I'm a big fan of Charles Moore. He wrote a book in 1991 called Crossing the Chasm. Has anyone read it or is familiar with the concept? There's a couple of hands, that's good. I think it's an intuitive concept. What he talks about when it comes to product marketing is that there are people over here who are technology enthusiasts, and there are people over here who are visionaries. And they make up a quite small part of the market. They're the ones that will work to get a product to work for them. They don't care that it doesn't do everything that they expected. They're excited that there's a new product that they can play with. But the people that you want to reach eventually, the people that will help you make money, is the much larger market. And these are people, let's say, pragmatists who, well, they know that new technology exists, but it needs to do something for them. It needs to work for them before they're going to buy in to the concept. Now, when I looked at this, the things that Charles Moore talks about, the ways to get across this, and he says that there's a big gap here between these people. The gap is that these people will work. They will do their own work. These people want you to do the work for them. This gap is what you need to cross to create a product that sells and makes money and is sustainable. And I thought about, well, what does that mean in the API world, and how does that translate to what we're doing? Are we creating a product that just works for everyone and does exactly what they need? Or are we maybe not doing that? Are we doing something different? So I thought about APIs and our company And it doesn't seem that we're doing this at all. We're not creating a product that everyone can use. I mean, my mum and my dad, they're not going to use the Enequimolnet API. My dad isn't sitting at home with Postman trying to get it to work. We're doing something different, but we want our products to reach this mass market. And that's a really different concept to the way the last 20 years of product development has been guided. People have said you need to build a whole product, but it doesn't seem to be that way anymore. It seems to be that maybe you can work in a different way. And I like to think of that way as, if you think of creating a whole product as going vertically. So I say, I want to target electricity trading companies. They're the ones that sell you electricity. I want to target them, so I'll make a product that suits just their needs. We don't do that. What we do is we create a portal for energy data, and that's it. And if an electricity trading company wants to look at some energy users' data, they can access that. That's fine. But if a company that makes an environmental management system wants to look at the energy data that maybe their water plants are using, they can do that too. In our case, we have facility management companies. So the company that owns this building has a system that they look at and they say how much people are paying, how much energy is it using. Those people want energy data as well. And then there are people like we thought of in the first place who want to have an app that shows you your hourly energy consumption. And they want energy data as well. So no longer are we talking about making a product for them and going deeper and deeper and deeper into providing a more complete product for that person and maybe trying to saturate the market for each different market. We're talking about creating a product that just does a tip of something, and we hope that someone else kind of fills in the gaps. And for us, if I say like this, we have those facility management systems, we have environmental systems, we have consumer apps, we have electricity trading companies, and they're all trying to access just electricity energy consumption or energy consumption for a single user. We've decided to make that system so it's not perfect for a facility management system. Our API isn't designed for facility management systems, it's designed for everyone. No longer are we working this vertical path, we're actually talking about working horizontally and going to a facility management company and saying, you should try our API. And then going to this environmental analysis company and saying, you should try our API as well. And it doesn't cost us any more to do those sales. It doesn't affect the way we sell, really. We just say, here's the API, here's the documentation, can you get it to work? And why can we do that? And I think we can do that because the people in this room, there are developers who are early adopters. And those developers work for companies. So there are developers who are here in this, they're visionaries. Those developers work for companies that want to target a whole market. So if you are working for a facility management company, your boss doesn't say to you, yeah, it's cool, we've got energy data in our system now, but who's going to buy that? They're saying, how can we make this energy data module in our system available for everyone? So someone else crosses the chasm for your product. And I think that that's very exciting, and I'm not sure if it's going to work. Our company is very young, as I said, 2011. But I wonder if other companies who are API businesses are also seeing this as well. Was it Zen Walker? Is that the name of the service? Yes? No? Zencoder, yes. You were talking earlier and you were saying that you have developers using your service who wanted to obviously encode video. That's fine. But I guess that there are big companies who want to encode video as well. It's not just someone recording on a mobile phone. So it's changed. This whole system has changed. API companies aren't about creating a product for an individual market and going one at a time. API companies are about working horizontally across every different market you can possibly imagine and making it really easy for people to pick up and make it really easy for these visionary developers to get started and to then build a product that targets the mass market, and they'll make money, and hopefully if you set up your business model properly, you'll make money. And then I wondered, maybe this is just our company. Maybe I'm just kind of, what's that called? Like positive kind of reinforcement where you're only thinking about yourself. So Foursquare is not that big here in Sweden, but Instagram is huge. All of my friends use Instagram. Foursquare's API is what powers the Instagram location API, and I guess a lot of people know that. But in some ways, Foursquare have crossed this chasm between the early adopters and the people who kind of want to play around with technology to the people who just want to post pictures and it's linked to a place. Someone else crossed the chasm for Foursquare. And I think coming from the perspective of someone who's not very good at developing Amazon Web Services, I knew that existed, and that was a way to kind of get a cloud server up and running, but I could never have connected something to Amazon Web Services. I'm no good at that, but I can definitely create something on AppFog. I can do that, and it was no trouble at all. I can work with MongoLab or MongoHQ or Pars or Apogee, and all of these services are really easy for me if I wanted to make a mobile application to target a mass market. And somehow I think that's Amazon Web Services have used these visionaries, these early adopters, to cross the chasm for their products. And I think that is something that's not really talked about that much, and it's something that's really changed product development in technology, and it will continue to change. No longer, it's more important to talk to people like this, I want to say people like us, but it's not people like me, people who are here, and get them to integrate your API than it is to go to a single market and convince them that your API is the thing that's going to solve all of their problems. And then if we get back to kind of our history as a company, because, I don't know, that interests me. If you're creating an API for early adopter developers or these visionary developers, it must be a dream, right? It must be like, if these people are going to work hard to get your system to work, if they're going to put in effort to connect to your API, then it must be really cool. It must be really easy to work and support them. And you end up looking like this happy elephant here. But in our experience, that's not really the case, because early adopter developers, maybe they don't actually know about APIs. And that doesn't really gel with what I said before. But we've worked a lot with companies, as I say, in a few different industries. And the first thing you say is, we have an API, and they say, what's an API? And then you mention REST and JSON, and they just kind of glaze over in their eyes. But these people are still visionary. They say, oh, but we can get energy data out of your system. That's really cool. Just, I don't know what, do we need to go on the internet? And questions like this. So it's not quite maybe as easy as I first hoped it would be. Particularly for us, Molnet has to compete with emailing files. The typical way that this is done in the energy industry, the way the energy industry communicates internally now inside that fortress is SMTP, but it's SMTP with attachments in their own special file format. And we have to describe why our API is better than emailing a file around, and the added security benefits compared to unencrypted SMTP traffic. Then we have to tell them why our API is better than getting sent an XML file, an Excel file, and manually reading off every row and typing that into your facility management system or environmental system or whatever it is. So what we've found is that despite the fact that we're working across all these different industries, particular industries require a lot more help. Maybe they're not as far along in the technology as you would like them to be. And then there's things like custom FTP servers where you have a connection with an energy company and someone who wants to get access to that data, and they set up a connection and they have to kind of put holes in firewalls and things like this. And again, we're telling them, well, we have an API, and there are thousands of calls to that every day, or I don't even know what the figure is at the moment, but there's hundreds of different apps accessing clients accessing this API, and we have to explain why it's more reliable. This one-to-many connection is more reliable than a one-to-one connection. So what I think we've ended up being as a company is not so much an energy data API advocate company. What we are is an API evangelist company at the moment, where we go around and we tell people why APIs are better than manually typing in files, and we have to tell them that they're going to save time doing this, and they don't believe us because they think that they have to go on the internet, and that's going to take time and it takes time to do some redevelopment and things like that. But these people that I'm talking about, these people that don't even understand an API, they're still visionary. So you can't ignore them because they didn't understand you the first time. We talk to someone who wants to make a mobile app, and we send them our documentation, and they come back to us and they say, that was great. And that's it. That's the only communication we have. But you talk to specific companies and they don't have any clue, but they still want to integrate it, and they still want to make a product for the mass market. So it's a lot of hard work, but it does pay off at the moment because they keep trying to make products that are for thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, and not for they're not one-on-one solutions or one-to-one solutions. So that's a bit tough. That's the tougher part of trying to be an API evangelist to maybe a very slow-moving industry. But there are some benefits as well. One of the biggest benefits is that we get to claim we invented things that we didn't actually invent at all. We tell people about our custom authentication solution that means that users get to control who has access to their data. And it's OAuth. Everything is OAuth too. It's obvious that that's a solution for this problem. Energy users own their data. They want to give access to their data to other people. How would you do that? That's an OAuth problem. Energy companies are amazed when we tell them this. We don't tell them it's OAuth. We tell them it's the Playback authentication system. So there are some benefits to working in this kind of industry as well. And I think that one is the key, because if you can convince them that it's going to save time, and you can convince them, because remember we're talking about these visionaries, you can convince them that they're doing something that no one else is doing. It's amazing. They're rapt. They want to create great products with that. And I love the fact that we get to say that about OAuth. But yeah, don't tell anyone. And as this was quite a short talk, I guess it kind of wraps up with, when you're an API company, who's going to cross the chasm with your data or with your service? Maybe you need to focus on those companies a lot more. Maybe you need to think about, when that happens, how will your infrastructure survive? I mentioned that we're working horizontally across all these different industries, but there's a big difference for us between handling someone who makes a call for one facility, let's say, and looks at the energy data there, and someone who makes an app and they want access to the 5.6 million energy meters in Sweden. That becomes a bit of a technical challenge for us. It's not really a problem to do with marketing. It's a problem because immediately we're going from obviously it's a technical problem to scale up to 6 million from 1,000 or 100. But then also, is your market the kind of market where you need to be an API evangelist, where you need to maybe lie and tell them that you invented OAuth? There are a lot of those out there, and I think they're the ones that are most profitable as well. They're the ones that there's a lot of space there, and it can be really fun to help those people and show them that there's something actually exciting that they can do with an API that they had never thought of before. And finally, obviously we need more developers. So if anyone wants to leave their company that's funded them to be here today, please shoot me a tweet or an email or come catch me somewhere. We need to do that thing where we scale up from 1,000 to 5.6 million quite quickly. So we're looking for anyone who wants to help.
Great. Thanks, David. We have a couple moments for questions. Anyone want to pick David's mind a little bit more? Great. Well, thanks again, David, for jumping in right at the last minute.